Imagine a creature 5 times your size. A predator that has reshaped entire continents, driven more species to extinction than any other animal in history, and can end your life without effort. Now imagine walking up to that creature, lying down beside it, and falling asleep. That is exactly what a dog does every single night. It curls up next to the most dangerous animal on Earth, closes its eyes, and feels safe. Why do animals trust humans at all? At first, the answer feels obvious. We feed them. Of course they trust us. But that explanation falls apart almost immediately. Plenty of animals are fed by humans and never bond with them. Zoo animals are fed for decades and stay wary their whole lives. Trust and food are not the same thing, and here is the genuinely strange part. By every rule of survival that has ever existed, animals should fear us more than anything else in nature. We are the apex predator. We hunt, we trap, we dominate. A rational animal should run. Yet some of them do the opposite. They move toward us. The problem is the same one that haunts all of animal science. We cannot ask them why. A dog cannot explain why it feels safe. A cat cannot describe why it chose your lap. So researchers work backward, not from what animals say, but from 2 things we can actually measure. What happens inside their brains when they are near us, and what changed in their bodies over thousands of years of living alongside us. Start with the brain, because the answer hiding there is remarkable. When a dog and its owner simply look at each other, something quietly extraordinary happens. Both of them, the human and the dog, get a rise in oxytocin, the same hormone that floods the brain of a mother gazing at her newborn. Scientists call it a positive loop. The dog looks at you, your oxytocin rises, you look back, the dog's oxytocin rises, and the bond deepens with nothing more than eye contact. This is the exact neurological machinery that builds the bond between a parent and a child. And somehow a completely different species has been wired into it. Now, here is the detail that changes everything. Wolves, the direct ancestors of dogs, do not do this. A wolf raised by humans still rarely holds their gaze, and that gaze loop barely fires. The trust circuitry that feels so natural in a dog is something wolves simply do not share, which means it was not always there. It was built. So why would evolution build it? The answer is survival, but not the kind you would expect. Tens of thousands of years ago, as wolves began lingering near human camps, a brutal filter went to work. The wolves that were too fearful or too aggressive were driven off or killed, but the rare ones that could tolerate humans and eventually bond with them got something priceless: food, warmth, protection. Generation after generation, the calmest, most trusting animals survived and bred, and the fearful ones did not. We were not just feeding them, we were selecting them. We know this works because we have watched it happen on Fast Forward. In a famous decades-long experiment, scientists bred silver foxes choosing for one single trait: friendliness toward humans, nothing else. Within just a few generations, the foxes began to change. They sought out human contact, wagged their tails, and grew calmer. Selecting for trust alone reshaped the entire animal. What took thousands of years with wolves was compressed into a handful of decades with foxes. And the evidence does not stop at behavior. When humans and dogs interact, the dog's body relaxes, and so does ours. Human stress hormones drop. Oxytocin climbs in both species at once. The trust is not one-directional, and it is not pretend. It is chemistry, happening in 2 animals at the same time. And it is not only dogs. Cats, despite their reputation, form real attachment bonds with their owners and reserve certain behaviors, like specific meows, almost exclusively for humans. The same quiet pattern keeps repeating across species. Animals leaning toward the very thing that should terrify them. But here is where the question quietly changes shape. We have been asking it backward this whole time. The real question was never why animals decided to trust us. Animals did not sit down and weigh the risks and choose to believe in humanity. The truth is stranger and a little humbling. We did not earn their trust. We rebuilt the animal slowly over thousands of years until trusting us became automatic. The trust your dog feels is not a decision it made. It is an inheritance we engineered into its blood. And we have to be honest about the limits of what we know. That trust is not total, and it is not guaranteed. It can be broken in an instant by cruelty. It varies from animal to animal, and even from breed to breed. The exact brain circuitry behind it is still being mapped, and much of it remains uncertain. Trust, even the kind we built, stays fragile. So why do animals trust humans at all? Partly because over countless generations, we shaped them until the fearful ones vanished and only the trusting ones remained. And partly because for those animals, the enormous gamble of trusting a predator actually paid off. They traded their fear for our protection, and maybe that is the strangest part of all. The animal lying beside you is not naive. It is not foolish for trusting something so dangerous. It is the living descendant of the rare few who once crept toward a human fire instead of running from it, and survived because they did. Every time your dog rests its head on your knee, that ancient gamble is being placed again. A small creature betting everything on the idea that this particular predator will choose one more time to be gentle.